Committee, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. To my far right is Chad Worrell, who's a member of the committee, and to my right is Andrew Kirkpatrick, who is the secretary of the Finance and Property Committee. And for the purposes of getting this all done right, as far as role, if everyone would please introduce themselves.
Nathaniel Shooter for the Daily Tribune.
Dave Batten, treasurer.
Jim Borski, Streets.
Sue Schultz, city attorney.
Lisa Welling, Kiwanis.
Thomas Schneider from Sunrise Rotary.
Jeff Kuhn, Water and Light.
Joel Matthews, Water and Light.
And James Gavin, Sunrise Bar.
Shane Blazer.
All right, well, that's everybody. Great, thank you. Welcome. So item 2 is special beer license applications, if any. Did we have, what do I have under here? Is that?
That's next coming.
Okay, well then, there aren't any. Item 3 is an application for a Class B liquor and beer license filed by Sunrise Bar LLC, James Gavin Jr., agent, DBA Sunrise Bar, for the premises located at 2350 6th Street South. And Shane, everything's good?
Everything's good. We're just waiting for a letter of surrender, but that'll occur later on.
Anything you want to tell us about?
No,
This is your one opportunity to plug your place.
Well, basically, we're going to keep it a neighborhood bar, and I heard there was some issues with the internal smoking room that he has there currently, which is going to be gone, so there won't be any more problems with that, but we're going to try to keep it a neighborhood bar.
Wonderful.
Nothing fancy.
Super, well, good luck.
Thank you.
All right, I'll make a motion to accept the application.
Sorry.
I have a motion and a second to approve item number 3. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. I'm being serenaded from the back. And do
Okay.
not tweet that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, seriously, good luck.
Thanks.
Item 4, a request from Tom Schneider, Wisconsin Rapids Rotary Sunrise, actually, for approval of a special events application for July 20th, the 5K Rotary Fun Run Walk for Life from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. to include a run-walk route. Tom, why don't you tell us about that?
Okay, well, it's a fundraiser for polio eradication and an international project, and also for local charities, Boys and Girls Club, Clubs, and Family Center. And I met with Kurt Hoyer, and we drove the route. The run walk will start at Whitterfield. The Rafters, and as well as Marshfield Clinic are our major sponsors.
Great.
So we're going to start at Whitterfield, cross Lincoln, go down Whitter to 3rd Street, make a quick jog there down to 2nd Street, follow 2nd Street to East Grand, I guess there, cross the river on Grand Avenue Bridge, turn back on the river path that follows the river down until we would come up to and go back across the expressway bridge, follow 3rd Street, and Kurt said if it's at all reasonable to use the sidewalk back to Whitter Street, come back on Whitter Street, cross Lincoln, and end that 5K at Whitterfield. Liz has indicated that they pay a use fee or whatever for Whitterfield, so that part of it would be handled, and what we're looking for would be just to have the street assistance for that route.
Okay.
And Shane, everything's in order as far as insurance and everything?
Yes.
Is this the first time you've done this event?
No,
It seems to me we've done this before, right?
We've always started at Centralia Center.
Okay,
And we've
that's
had
the
permits in the
difference.
past, but we've started at Centralia Center and used the route along the river out and back. But because the Rafters were our major
You
sponsor
bet,
this
I think
year,
that's great.
we thought we would incorporate that. And also we have a kids run the bases with Roscoe.
Oh, fun.
So that should be fun, should generate a little more excitement for families. So that's the plan.
Great, well, it's definitely worthy causes.
Yeah, everyone here can participate. You don't have to be an Olympic scale runner
There's a bear in my
to
book.
play along.
Don't have to outrun you, I have to outrun.
All right, committee, other questions?
No, I'll make motion to approve the request.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve item number 4. Any other discussion? Jim, nothing? You're good too?
I guess, did the police department say they'd block the intersections for you, or are you gonna need barricades for that?
I believe we'll need barricades, particularly at Lincoln and Third. We would, it's gonna be a short-lived, that amount of closure. I guess I can clarify that for you with Kirk, just to make, whether because it should cross quickly, and we will have volunteers at all of those corners, because we really don't want to close Lincoln and Third for any length of time.
Kurt said that they could probably accomplish that with ancillary.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't need
There you go.
closures and
There you go.
barricades.
Oh, thanks. All right, again, I have a motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. All right, Tom, I hope you have great weather.
Thank you. We've already got our order in.
I'm sure you do. Item 5 is a request from Lisa Welling, Kiwanis Club of Wisconsin Rapids, for approval of a special events application for August 3rd for Kickstart Your Heart Kickball Tournament from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. to include a special beer license for the 2 diamonds on the east side of Mead Field along 14th Avenue South, and B, vending. Lisa?
Yeah, and we got asked, I believe it was by the Riverview Hospital, they're looking to get some defibrillators for kids. And so we would just be there to serve food and beer. My understanding is they're gonna try to get 20 kickball teams. And they're gonna run it on 4 diamonds. And then we will just provide the food and beverage.
Shane, everything's good with the application?
Yes, I talked to Jill several times and we clarified a few things with her and I think they're all set.
Here's a care tent by the hospital. We have the liability insurance. Temporary supervision.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion and a second to approve item number 5. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. And that motion and second was for A and B, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Very good.
One question before you leave. If you were to put a team together, where do we contact?
I believe it's the hospital that you contact.
Okay.
Because we're not in charge of any of the teams, we're just in charge of getting
Getting the venue.
Yeah,
Okay.
They should have some promotion coming out, but it's through the Riverview Healthcare Foundation.
yes.
You're kidding me, right?
Doesn't like
I can already see the wheels turning.
I got karate legs over here ready to go.
I go just for the
I wanna be on
entertainment,
your
really,
team.
no.
I want to be on your team.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Item 6 is a request from Mary Lou Hamilton, Christian Life Fellowship, for approval of a special events application from June 30th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Robinson Park to include vending. We also have that attached.
I received a phone call from them today. Mary Lou was going to be gone on vacation and her sub was unable to attend tonight.
Okay.
But they've been doing this event for apparently many years. And came about this year, they kind of realized or learned about the special events application.
Oh, what?
And so I've been working with them and what they do is it's for veterans. It's something that the church puts on and they have a program, musical program at 10 a.m. and at 2 p.m. And during that, in between time there, they sell brats and hot dogs and those type of things.
Okay, and they asked about the bounce house.
Oh, yes, and then they, this year, which kind of started the questions, is that they want to have some bounce things or some of those blow-up things for kids while the events are going on.
Okay.
And it's kind of their,
But but they have the liability insurance. Yeah,
yep, it's
right?
a.
It was
a-
attached.
yep.
Okay. All right. Committee, any questions?
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Oh, go ahead, great. So I have a motion and a second to approve item number 6. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Item 7 is a resolution granting authority to the Water Works and Lighting Commission to deposit daily receipts, and that is attachment 1. Ooh, did somebody wanna?
I'm the one that made the referral, so
Okay.
I guess I'll address it first. Hopefully you all received the information both by email and a hard copy. It's kind of ironic that we got a recommendation from our current auditors who do both the city audit and water and light, that we actually make this change, because I wanted to do it about 18 years ago, I think it was. And it was the same audit firm at the time that told me statutorily we couldn't do it. But we have different people in charge
You
of the
just
audit.
have
and-
to ask another attorney.
Exactly. So anyways, the resolution that you see, I wrote up, and if you look at our investment policy and depository policy that we pass every year in April, we have the reorganization meeting. Statutorily, we do grant the authority to the city treasurer to be able to designate people to have the authority to make the deposit on behalf of the city. So as you can see, I'm recommending that we give the authority to the water and light to do their daily deposits. And they still will be providing you with monthly financial statements and the annual audit report, plus you review their budget every year. It's really common sense, I think. You don't want to be duplicating all this work. It's a lot more efficient that
I
way.
agree.
Yeah.
Water and light, any,
I think as Dave said, we're just looking for the efficiency side of it.
you guys are good with that? So,
Definitely.
all right.
We are fine.
Efficient government, gotta love it.
Those steps are baby steps.
Could be. Maybe we should save this for, later.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve item number 7, an item that apparently has taken 18 years to age, but has eventually done so. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you. 8, a request from Street Superintendent Jim Borski that the city create an ordinance to ban feeding waterfowl.
I initially put this on the referral list because I assumed, which we don't know is a bad thing, but I assumed any grant money that might be possible to assist us in our war against the geese would require an ordinance banning feeding. I found out today it's not required.
Okay. Because we don't want to ban feeding golf carts, just geese. What?
Depends who you are and where you live.
I suppose. That makes sense.
This is an ordinance I brought along. The city of Janesville banned it. We banned feeding deer in the city, so this would be similar to our feeding of deer. But there's a nice explanation attached on page 2 of what they're trying to do in Janesville. The ordinance is there too, and I guess I don't care one way or the other what we do. I just think it only makes sense to promote having less there by artificially feeding them when we're spending the time and effort to go out and oil their eggs and money to pay the Fish and Wildlife Service to trap them and remove them. Yet we entice them to come here and stay here all winter long and all year long with breadcrumbs.
Actually, if I can jump on that, I had actually asked Tom to put this same thing on Public Works, thinking, of being more kind of a parkside issue sort of thing. Primarily because we had come out, my fiance and I had come out of the movie theater, and there was a lady with a garbage bag. And I wish I could be exaggerating, but I'm not. Literally a garbage bag filled with either popcorn or breadcrumbs, and just digging in by the armload and flinging them as far as she could. And I saw one garbage bag, I don't know if there was more, but, you know, I mean, I can understand going down with, you know, like a couple pieces of bread, you know, like the stumps at the end of the loaf or something like that. You'd kind of start tearing them up and tossing them in the water or something like that, but for somebody to go down there with a garbage bag full of popcorn is ridiculous, especially like you say, Jim, since we're going through all these control measures to control the goose population. And I don't know how we're going to, you know, I mean, geese are large, they're gonna fight out, you know, the ducks and things of that nature, the smaller birds, to get at the feed. So you can't, I don't know that we can ban feeding the geese, you know, and how do you ban feeding geese, you know, when they're gonna come up and weasel in? If you go down to feed a couple of ducks, you almost have to do all or none.
Chad?
I'm not a big fan of feeding them either. You know, the people that walk on their lunch break on the west side, that trail is full sometimes, and there's been a lot of people complaining, you know, they want to take a walk or bike ride, and it's just
So here's my concern, and honestly, I appreciate having this dialogue because it's good. I don't know that I'm really ready. Maybe if I had a vote right now, I'd probably just say no, but only because I don't have a full understanding of the whole situation. I probably should have a better understanding. In my head, the scene that keeps running through my head is Grandma and the little 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old gives, you know, and then, not as if we don't have enough Big Brother anyway, coming slapping her and giving her a $10 ticket. And that, I don't know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. No, I think we shouldn't do that. I don't know, I'm just not sure, and I think this is a good conversation.
But I think the
It's not-
bicyclists, the walkers, and the homeowners along the river will outweigh the few people that feed them myself.
Not to mention, we want to keep the riverbanks clean for when we do
Fireworks.
fireworks is the biggest thing. You know, nobody wants to go down there and sit in a load of goose.
No, you're sitting on all the blankets.
You
and
know,
nothing
We
left
still
over.
have the petting zoo at the zoo, right? I mean, if they wanna take the kids, there's a place where they can feed the animals.
Right. You know, and Gene, I know exactly what you're saying. You know, I mean, how do you say no to somebody going down and doing 1 or 2, you know, pieces of bread or a couple of buns or something like that? But because Heather and I had talked about this at home when we saw the whole thing happen, you know, with this lady with a garbage bag full. And, you know, and we sat there and we talked about it, and what it came down to is, you know, okay, yeah, it's fine to go down there and do 1 or 2 pieces of bread, but 6 or 8 people an evening going down there, you know, and 15 people across the
I
day,
understand exactly what
and
you're
suddenly it's the same amount as a whole garbage bag full, you know.
Is that machine still down there? Didn't they have a
At the
machine?
zoo, but not for duck feeding on the riverbank. No.
There isn't?
No. I will say, since we started tearing up Locust Street last week and rebuilding that, I've been on 2nd Street every day this week, and during the day, there's almost never a time when somebody isn't down there feeding them. So you'd think it's hit or miss, but it's pretty much all day long. Somebody's down there feeding them. And I don't personally care one way or the other. I don't use
I know
that.
you don't.
I don't
I know
use
you're
that
just
part of the
giving
riverbank.
stuff, yeah.
I got no emotional issues
And
with this.
And there's
It's
nobody
just-
here to talk on it, which.
You know,
I haven't heard anybody say they're in favor of the ban. I've heard a few people say, well, that one
That's
guy
what
even
we're-
said that sounds un-American to make people stop feeding ducks and geese, but
well, I think from a standpoint of, since we're going through control measures, we can't, to me, this, you know, doing one without the other is kind of half yet, you know. Perhaps if we were just to do this summer, since we have the money from the DNR, the grant from the DNR to go ahead with the goose control effort, do a ban this summer, see what happens, and then just say it's only for this summer.
You
And
know what,
then
I'm not
look at
good with
redoing
that because we always say that and it never works that way. That's just like we're going to do 12-hour shifts and that's gonna be a pilot and we never had any way of studying it and it just, we went right through. I would appreciate, I appreciate what you're saying because if that worked, that would
Right.
be a good compromise, but it doesn't. What's the control? What are we measuring? What are we gonna say if it went better or worse? How are you going to measure that?
Well, if they just want to do discussion tonight, where does it go from here? The mayor
Well, we
said
can
just open it up for.
Well, we can discuss it tonight, and I'm good, I'm glad. I'm also wondering if, just by having this discussion, maybe we aren't gonna spark some people. So if Jim is saying everybody is saying right now they're against it, maybe we're gonna get those people. I haven't heard from anybody saying I want it banned, but that's also not my district, so I feel a little out of the loop on the whole conversation. But maybe if we have the conversation tonight, bring it back at our next finance and property meeting, so now it was noticed tonight, we'll have a little, in the minutes, we'll say something about the fact that we had this conversation, and if people are interested, please get a hold of your alder and let them know what you think about it, and then bring it back at our next meeting. So, I don't know, does that seem fair? I think it's really a worthy discussion, and I'm almost with Jim. I mean, you guys are very compelling and very, but I haven't had any comment pro or con, and I almost feel a little bit like there may be some people, as you said, bikers and walkers and all these folks that are gonna have some real good reasons why we should ban it, and I would rather hear that than just kind of going off our gut thinking it's a good idea.
The worst thing I had encountered personally was last summer. We went down to take pictures after my friend's wedding by the Fireman's Memorial,
Mhm.
and there was not a single place where somebody didn't step that you were getting it on your rented shoes.
Well, thank God they were
Good thing they weren't
just
yours.
turned in. That's what I said.
Yeah, I could just, and now it's your problem, but yeah, no, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
it was thick.
And Shane.
And then, and I guess I almost want somebody here to tell me how we're going to enforce it. It's kind of like,
What about
you
your
know, recyclables in the garbage bags, no offense, but how many tickets have we written for
Right.
that?
It would be, it'd be somebody driving by seeing it, one of the
And then
cops drive
what?
by, see it, and then they stop. That's about the only level of enforcement that there can be, without saying we're gonna buy a camera and then
I
record
know.
your
And so I
license
guess
plate
I
number.
just, I'm kind of with Jim. It could go either way. I would just like to have an opportunity for a little more public input
We need to
and
hear
thought.
people from your establishment over there too.
Yeah, and they submitted a letter in favor of the goose roundup. Before our meetings, we usually have to take a shovel to the sidewalk to clear it off.
It's good
But-
work.
It is. But as for, I don't think there's any feeding occurring down there. It's more so down in the park area, but I think by Elks Club.
Where's that at?
Jim, would that be okay with you? If we
Yeah,
just
that's fine.
kinda
At
held it,
least this
started
gets-
the discussion and then wait and see if people have strong feelings. Folks, if you have strong feelings, please let us know.
I thought if nothing else, we'd get the topic out there and
I think it's a good
see what
time.
people think. And
Yeah,
like Shane was saying, when we did the egg oiling this year, we walked the Masonic Lodge riverbank to see if we could find nests in there. And the snow had just melted and there was no place to step anymore down there. They're thick.
I guess what would be helpful too is if we could have the chief, police chief, at our next finance meeting then, or a representative to talk about how they envision enforcement, be it warnings or how they envision that working and signage. And if we're gonna do this, then, let's do it in a way that's proper and fair. And
Has Parks Department had anything come through to their office regarding
keep
the situation at all, or?
Just the calls about the bike trail and walking trail being full of goose poop.
Wasn't sure, maybe if they had something else come in that didn't quite get over to Jim's office or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
We're positive we can't have an open season.
Actually, the DNR guy I talked to today said we could, in fact, allow hunting of geese if we wanted to.
Really?
A controlled hunt, much like our
Deer.
problem.
Well, I'm part of me was joking, but now I'm really not.
Stand on First Street,
Do we
Second
need a
Street,
motion
go
for
down
that
First
or what?
Street.
If we're not gonna take any action, we don't need a motion, do we? Just to, or
Right, if you're just gonna, I guess to bring it.
Shane, I would just like it on the next finance
Hold it over for the
agenda,
next.
and if we could ask Kurt, and again, the purpose would be to have Jim, bring back the information he did, because I think he has complete information, but discussion then with Kurt about how they would envision enforcement, what that would look like, if we need signage,
I'll keep track of how many calls or
Yeah.
conversations we have that are pro and con.
and, you're probably, and that's such a mixed bag too, because you only get the people who are really passionate one way or the other calling.
All my friends are hunters, so
Well, if we opened it up for a hunt, that might be a whole nother story.
I've got a lot of volunteers for that already.
I have a really good goose stir fry recipe.
There's not many.
I do.
out there.
I'll try anything once.
Goose isn't my favorite.
All right.
All right, thanks so much,
Next
Jim.
meeting sometime, maybe?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to 9, which is beverage operator license applications. A is new, B is renewal, and C is applications recommended denied. I think we've had an opportunity to look at those, yes?
Yes. I didn't see anything for new in there. Was that accurate, Shane?
Yeah, there's one.
There's one?
One that's denied?
One,
say?
I'm sorry, not denial, one new. There's a bunch of new, and there's a bunch of renewal,
Yes.
and
one
there's
denied.
none denied.
Oh, none? Oh,
None
this
for
is-
denial.
Okay,
I think
that's that
just
old
a
one?
carry old one, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's no denial.
Okay.
So I make a motion to approve item 9A, the new applications.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion for item 9B, the renewal applications.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, and we don't need C. Item 10 is hold a non-renewal hearing of a Class B liquor and beer license.
He's out in the hall there, he was.
Which one is that one of these standing up here?
It would be for,
No, that's for, an individual is denied.
Oh,
This is
okay.
for, an establishment.
Oh, yeah.
That's really bartenders. This is for actual establishment.
I actually saved that soon.
Yeah. I was gonna start finding that.
Okay, so this is, and obviously, this is an open session, right?
Right.
So,
I didn't want to interrupt before 5:30, is that?
it's 2:45. We're going backwards today. Shane, do you want to introduce the item?
This would be a non-renewal hearing or a hearing for a Class B liquor and beer license.
And
Yes, you're up. What we're dealing with is the statute or the ordinance time frame, I believe,
so,
would be the issue.
for the purposes, no alcoholic beverage license shall be renewed for any licensee who has not had a premises from which to operate for 2 consecutive years, or who has failed to operate a business for selling alcoholic beverages within a licensed premises for 3 consecutive years. So, guess that would be your
Fail
turn.
seems a little harsh. I don't know, I'm sorry I don't know everybody.
Shed World,
Okay,
Andrew Kirkpatrick.
okay,
Genia.
okay. And so I emailed everybody. I don't know if you all got that little bit of letter from us. Okay. I did actually print out a couple of photographs of the space. Has anybody been in the Elks Club, former Elks Club building? When they still owned
Many
it?
years
Many,
ago.
many years ago.
Yeah, it might be hard to remember, but there is on the second floor of the building, a full bar, and then the balance of that floor is was used primarily as a restaurant space with kitchen. I just took a couple of snapshots to show you, it really kind of depicts its original character with like 12-foot ceilings, and you can see a fireplace there. Currently gas, not wood burning. And you can get a shot to the bar, wood floor. The Elks over not quite 100 years, but probably 80 years, did different remodeling projects. And each time, the ceiling height was lowered, and I think an effort to try to make the building more efficient in terms of heating and cooling. And then carpeting and different kinds of wall coverings, paneling. And it just became dated, of course, with, I think they have about 50 members, 100 members. It's difficult to make decisions to retain the original character of the space. And so when my brother and I purchased it, that was our commitment to make it look, it was as it was originally intended to be. And I think that does still, even though it wasn't originally a restaurant and bar, I think it does suit the space pretty well. Seeing as how it does have a bar and a kitchen and quite a large dining room area. We feel like it's a good fit. And in the 3 years approximately that we've owned the building, we've had different opportunities to open this as a functioning business with different principles involved. And for different reasons, one happened to be a health concern of someone we were working with. Also, I think I tried to mention, it was in the third itemized remark, just kind of an economic concern. Getting financing to establish a building that is going to be up and running the day the door is open, not stepping back in order to build the components of a kitchen. It's important to have it all set up to run from day one. So that's why we've resisted opening up prematurely. And I think there's kind of a stink out of business if it isn't just right when it first opens. People get an impression that maybe it isn't serving food right away, and the business might mention that eventually we're going to have food, and that wasn't. We didn't feel like that was a good approach to this, so we didn't hurry it through. The 3-year regulation, I've read I guess it's a city ordinance. The state allows each municipality to regulate these licenses differently if they so choose, isn't that right, Sue?
Right.
And so the city of Wisconsin Rapids has this 3-year regulation. I think some other cities don't have that, but I think the intent of the regulation is sound, that the city of Rapids doesn't want these licenses to be like a commodity that is worth X amount of dollars and hold on to it until somebody wants it from the holder. And I agree with that. We have no intention of, we never did, of reselling it to someone. We wanted to go with this building, and we're just asking for a bit more time to see this through. I think I fit just about all those three. My glasses, I'll make sure.
Sue?
Well, I believe you purchased it in January of 2010, is that right?
It was approximately the 1st of January 2010.
And back in June of last year, we had a conversation regarding renewing, and we had given you a notice that we weren't going to renew. And it was our interpretation that it would have been 3 license years and you didn't have a premises. And at that point, we worked out something where you said you would be up and running by December 31 of 2012.
Right, I remember.
And basically, it agreed that it could be revoked if you didn't.
Okay.
And so, and then you called me in January and asked for an extension, and I said, well, you're going to have an extension anyway. I said, I'm not interested in trying to revoke you now.
Sure.
I'll give you another 6 months, but you need to have premises by June 30th, or else you're not going to get renewed. And you said, yes, I will do that. And nothing has happened, and you have not pulled one building permit for the 1st or 2nd floor. So nothing should have been done on that property without the permit, or if you have done work, then you've done it without a permit. So
Okay.
I guess
I can speak to those.
what have you done, and how are you any closer to having someone, to opening a bar than someone else that comes into town that needs a license,
Sure.
and you're taking that license away
Right.
from
No,
that
I
person?
think you represent our phone conversations accurately. I would just add to that what I said to you, I guess the first remark was by the end of last year,
Mhm.
that we could have opened the business by then. And I tried to explain a little bit in that little introduction that when I said to you by the end of the year, we had every intention of doing that. Some things collapsed, partly due to someone else that was involved that had a health issue, and so that didn't come to fruition. I think it was probably earlier this year when we spoke about getting to June 30th of this year. I think to that, technically speaking, the 3-year regulation, I think there's some interpretation there as to when it actually begins. So that now is, I believe, 3 years from when we first renewed our liquor license. That from the 10th, or 2010, January 1, 2010 approximately, to June 30th of 2010, that was kind of an interim period that I think
Yeah,
is
but
a
it
little bit
also
subject to
says, no alcoholic beverage license shall be renewed for any licensee who has not had a premises from which to operate for 2 consecutive years. Well, I guess you had the premises, or did you?
We did the second
Yeah,
one.
it's the second one, not having
Okay.
a business.
Okay. Well, I mean, they have a premises, but you're saying it's not
Yeah, he doesn't have a
ready,
business.
right?
Right. And,
In terms of responding to that comment about pulling permits, we have been done anything that requires permits, is my understanding. We need to put heating and cooling into the space, which is going to draw a permit for sure. There's minimal in terms of electrical or rebuilding the kitchen, which when that is necessary, we'll pull that permit. We're not trying to shirk our responsibilities in terms of pulling permits. It's just that when we're soliciting prospective tenants or soliciting people that we're going to participate with in the ownership of the business, people have to go and arrange how they might finance their part of this operation and how much we're going to participate in it. And that becomes a little bit involved. When I represent to you that I'd like to be in there by December 31st of a certain year, that can somewhat spin off the calendar when people are trying to speak with vendors. Who else is going to be involved? So it wasn't as though I was misleading you. It was.
yeah, I'm not saying I didn't necessarily doubt your sincerity,
Yeah.
but the problem, I believe that you really want to get something going here, but you just haven't. And we have a limited number of licenses.
I appreciate that.
And you're holding on to one for 3.5 years now, and it's not available to anyone else. And I mean, I think you understand the
Sure.
reasoning for it, and I understand the position you're in.
Right, we absolutely understand why the city has the regulation, and it's sound regulation from our standpoint. All we're doing is asking for an extension with a hard date, in writing, whatever the city would require. And if we are unable to do it, then there would be no license at that point.
Are you planning on selling the building?
No.
The person that derives the profits and is in control of the business is the one that has to have a license. You realize, are you holding on to this and then thinking you're going to transfer it to someone when you don't even have a business right now?
It seems as though, in these 3 years, we've looked at different options. And it seems as though we need to participate something like 50-50, and where we are involved in the day-to-day operation of it. And that's fine with us. My brother and I, the 2 owners here, we don't live in town, but it's not that far, and we can certainly adapt to that arrangement. Initially, we weren't interested in that. I think probably when the first time I came here to renew the license, was Gene Young, were you the chairman of this, or chairperson?
Probably.
Yeah, I remember a remark, something about, well, when are you going to get it open? And,
Sounds like something I was.
Yeah, which was some anticipation, which was great. But we have an approach, and I tried to point to that, I guess, in that second paragraph. that we don't want to open something prematurely, and we don't want to open it with the wrong principles, where they haven't established that they have the experience to run the business. There's obviously cash involved with liquor sales. Those kinds of things are important, and we want to impress upon whoever we're working with that that's important to us, so that this isn't something that opens and then closes its doors in a year or two. This is something where we're trying to develop something where people have lifelong careers from it. And obviously, a bar and restaurant would involve a certain number of new jobs downtown, and obviously other things that might come down the pipe in the next few years, hopefully will benefit from this business and sort of work with one another.
And I understand that, but going back to Sue's point, if somebody else had had that license, they may have already created jobs and they would have had the jobs for a year or two already.
Well, if there were someone looking
You know.
for that license, I think Sue and I think maybe even Shane, talking to you just off the cuff, if someone were interested in the license that we retain, we're not asking for the city to do anything special for us. We're just asking if it's within your, if you can see what we see, to allow for a little bit of extra time, then I think we're all going to benefit from it.
Committee?
I was just gonna say, just to let you know, we have one reserve license available currently.
Okay.
That we've had for,
And that's a $10,000 license.
Well, that's what I mean.
And that's part of the problem
right,
here,
that's
too.
It is, that's my point.
Is that this license was whatever, $500?
Right, it's a big
And anyone
difference
else coming
between
in
a
is gonna have to pay
pay
$10,000.
$10,000.
And
That's what I thought.
so,
If there were someone interested in opening, say, a Applebee's or something, I think they sell liquor, don't they?
Yep.
If there were an Applebee's coming into town, I don't think it would take too much effort to find that there were some license holders that they could get on the phone.
You know, that's an assumption. If I'm interested in placing a business in a community, I'm probably just gonna call up Shane and say, may not even identify myself.
Yeah.
I wanna know how many licenses you have available and what's the fee. Thank you very much, not interested. So you can't make that assumption necessarily either.
It's not fair to do that, but I know that if I were going to a community and I were wanting to buy a building with 4 apartments in it, I would call and see what the prospects are, and maybe I would drive by a building that looks promising, and I would follow up to the point where I would find a building that I'm interested in, and if not, that person might lead me to another one. I don't think it's just a matter of dropping the ball if a city official says it's not available or it's prohibitively expensive.
So from January until now, what have you done inside the property?
We're restoring the floor, which is hardwood floors, the bar, which was built, I think probably in the late 1940s. A lot of plaster repair work, lath and plaster. Like I was mentioning, the Elks Club building, the only owners, I believe, up until us, had remodeled it and actually built suspended ceilings and dropped acoustic sort of ceilings. And so I don't believe that that's in line with drawing a permit to just remove those remodel projects. And, they had dropped the lighting down to fit with like an 8-foot ceiling, like here, actually very much like this. And then just moving those pendant light fixtures back up to the 12-foot junction boxes.
Okay, so you've done all that in about 5.5, 6 months. You said there's still HVAC and kitchen to go on.
Right.
Are we talking in a month, 2 months, 6 months?
Well, it's dependent on when a party, we can establish with a party an opening date. It's nice to have like December 31st as a hard date, but it must be done, so that I can speak intelligently with someone about,
But you don't-
we've got to work backwards on getting the kitchen fixed.
But you don't have anybody lined up right now
I
that's,
have
that's
two,
giving a press to say it needs to be done, we want to be established by July 30th or
Right.
anything like that.
Right, it's kind of a train where I'm trying to depict what time we have, and they have to, with us, speak intelligently with lenders, so that money is going to make everything happen so much more quickly. You can put a kitchen together quite quickly with $80,000 versus trying to borrow appliances or
Right, right.
barter with a tradesman on getting plumbing or electrical work done in exchange for something else. I mean, it gets ridiculous if you don't.
Right, but I mean,
finance.
you don't have somebody who has committed to, they've already said, we're committed to it, we're gonna open up, we're with you, and this is gonna be our location. You don't have anybody who's done that.
I don't have anyone that has done that because they can't commit to that without a lender's approval of their business plan. We have two different parties that we're working with. One that we're gonna be very much, actually more than 50% involved in terms of the financing of it. One that we're preferred right now, where we're less than 50%. And that involves a big chunk of lenders' money. So,
How long have they been looking for financing?
without making it seem too complicated, they have had 3 people involved initially. It went to 4 at one time, and now it's back to 3, but not the original 3. So, it's kind of a liquid situation.
Over what length of time?
I'd say a year and a half, probably.
Year and a half. So in a year and a half, they haven't been able to pull together the funds to,
Well,
to
this-
put something together, and
This
then
is, I don't mean to be vague about, I'd love to give you names and telephone numbers.
I'm not interested in that. I'm trying to look at hard timelines as where we're at, where we'd be trying to go forward. And to me, the way that I see the problem is if I want to open a business, I want to go into a place that has the facilities ready to go. I don't want to sit here and wait for the things to happen, and unfortunately, what I'm seeing is that you're almost there, but you're waiting for the people coming in to say, you're waiting for the people to come in and say, well, we're going to give you the money to finish the thing before we move in, and unfortunately, I don't think you're going to find somebody who's, unless they have $150,000 of liquid assets that they're willing to dump into it tomorrow, I don't see that giving another 6 months on top of a year and a half looking for funding is going to change anything from what it currently is.
Well, I guess as a third option, which has always been there, my brother and I can run this concern, and if things collapse, the requests until December 31st has not changed, and we are going to open a business before December 31st. The first 2 options that we prefer are where we are not totally committed ourselves with all of our time, but we will make it happen ourselves if necessary. I guess that's may give you some assurance, and we have the wherewithal to make that happen before the end of the year.
Well, but then that would be my next follow-up is, you were told by the city attorney already that you had a hard date.
Yeah.
Right? And you didn't make it happen. So why should we believe you're gonna make it happen in this next 6 months?
Well, that's for you to decide. We'd like to see from the city some flexibility, I guess, and some belief in our being able to put this building back out there for the general public to enjoy.
So,
Well, I think the point really is here, we're certainly, you can open your business whenever you want. There's nothing stopping that, but if you're not renewed, there's still 2 licenses out there. One is going to be $500, and one is going to be $10,000. If you're the first one to the 500, it's yours. If someone comes in the meantime, then you're paying $10,000 for the reserve. But we have a grant program that if you put $10,000 into that structure, you'll get that 10,000 back. So I think odds are there's gonna be a license available for you, even if you're not renewed. Because I don't see two bars coming into town. I mean, we do a lot of transfers, but we don't, and the other point is, the license is for you, and so this Arthur James Ventures, that's who the license is gonna be in the name of. But if you never have a going concern, if you never start the business and you make a deal with someone to come in and that they're gonna run it on their own, they're gonna have to get their own license. I mean, this is really worth nothing to you unless you are going to use it and derive the profits from it and basically run the bar, okay?
Right.
So,
Go ahead.
so, I mean, that's the other part of it that you need to understand is this isn't something you can hold on to and then you find a buyer and then it automatically goes to them. And it's not gonna,
I know, it
it's not gonna work
becomes
that
a
way.
little bit technical in legal sense. The participation, I'm not trained, and I have no intention of standing behind a bar. I can tell you, I think I can tell you how to make the orange juice and whatever. I think that's pretty tasty. But other than that, I mean, I'm not a good server.
Don't get me wrong, I would love to see something happen there, we've been waiting and waiting, and it's just a matter of the fairness to.
From our
applicants.
standpoint, we in no way do we want to stand in the way of someone else opening and running a business that utilizes the same license that we use, or that we're intending to use. All we're asking for is, because there doesn't seem to be a stampede of people trying to get this same license. And we are actually fairly familiar with those $500 terms and the $10,000 term. We're aware of that. We just don't know, is the city is it a profit motive of the city to withdraw it and then offer it again for another $500? I don't know if that's the intent of the regulation. The spirit of the regulation was to keep it from being a commodity, I think. And so we're just requesting, we're not trying to do something illegal by getting a 6-month extension. We're just requesting an extension. It's not like stealing something, stealing 6 months.
But you're holding on to something and you're not using it when someone else could be. I mean, would you agree to, if we had a request for a license between now and December 31, that license could go to someone else and you'd have to, yours would be revoked and you'd have to get a reserve?
Right, I don't think you try to trick me. I think it's my understanding that there is a license identical to the type license we have available now for the
no.
population of the city? Okay,
No.
so then there's just this $10,000 license.
Reserve.
Which you cannot resell to someone else.
Right.
It has to go with ABC business, and if ABC doesn't open a business, it goes back to the city. Isn't that right?
Right.
Okay.
It's the same as any other license. The only thing is you can't transfer it to a different location, and it has I call it initiation fee of any time it leaves the city, it's a $10,000 fee, and then like she said.
And there isn't another one behind that, though.
No.
There's a limit because of the population. Isn't that right?
Right.
It was based on a formula years ago that.
Kind of beating, I think we all got the idea.
Shane, in the last 2 years, since we haven't had we basically just had the reserve license for about the last 2 years, give or take. Right?
They've come and gone.
I've been following a little. Have we had a demand where people have been calling up asking if there's licenses available, and you say there's a $10,000 reserve, and they say no thanks?
I always, if somebody calls and inquires, I always offer it because I have a waiting list. At times, I've had 5 names on the list, and I think when the old David Harold's license came available, I went down through that list. Nobody wanted it. Then what ended up happening was, I believe it was Applebee's. They had a reserve, and they turned in the reserve and then took out the regular license. But I haven't had anybody inquire in a while now, so it just kind of ebbs and flows.
I mean, I think before I cut you short there, Sue, I think you were presenting an idea that would we be willing to, I don't know what the term would be, give up our license between now and New Year's Day if someone formally requested
Right.
our identical license. We don't have a problem with that. I don't know if I presented that in that letter, but I think I've done that in speaking to you
Right, I think
and
we had
Shane,
talked, okay.
that we are not trying to be a roadblock to someone else. But I think in what we've been doing for the last 3 years, we've made good effort, and still it is not open. I wonder who else is going to be finding a project and opening it, in a short few weeks, a few months, if it becomes that, to the end of the year.
Well, which makes me wonder if you're gonna be able to do it.
No, I mean,
You're kind of talking
it's
against
like a
yourself.
marathon, excuse me, but it's like a marathon race. You wouldn't ask someone that's ran 20 miles, is this person
But
likely
you
to
really haven't
finish?
done much in the 3 years you've had
Well,
it.
I don't know, it's hard
So
to say
you're gonna
that.
still have to sprint at the end here. I just haven't, I can understand where we're kind of coming to as far as some kind of a compromise, but I think we're just delaying the inevitable, because I didn't hear any real
I'm
commitment
gonna love to
language.
prove you wrong. if
I would love you to
say
prove me
so.
wrong. I just don't hear commitment talk.
Well, okay, so what if, if they would agree to renew your license until December 31, 2013, but you would surrender the license if the city receives an application for basically your Class B
Certainly.
beer and liquor license. Upon that application, you'd have to surrender it, and then you would need to apply then for a license, and it could be it's a regular license, or
Sure.
it could be this reserve
Right,
license.
if this $10,000 item, $10,000 can go to 10,000 glasses of, or mugs of beer or something.
Well, no, you have to.
No, I'm just saying in terms of the
Oh.
way we think.
Right.
We would rather spend $10,000 on stools around the bar, let's
Right.
say, rather than a license that we one time already had.
Right.
So certainly
But
that
the
doesn't make
$10,000, but I'm saying you get the $10,000 back as you put money in and improve the property.
Right, well,
So,
I mean, the heating and cooling equipment alone.
and that's probably
Right.
true, you'd get that money right back.
I mean, hopefully you're not getting the wrong impression, the chairperson too. I guess I'm leaving the impression that not much has been done. Well, in running a marathon.
Well, now be careful, because you haven't taken out any building permits,
Right,
so.
well, that's not coincidental. If the building permits are gonna be some fairly high-ticket items, such as the kitchen and the heating and cooling equipment and windows, that can amount to quite a lot of money in a hurry, and it can all be installed very quickly. But preparing the space for those improvements takes time, and while you're negotiating with different people, you don't want to go down the wrong path for a year and then have someone have some radically different ideas for a bar and restaurant, a completely different layout, rather than look at the sunset, they want everything looking at the sunrise or some such thing. So we're trying to make a few mistakes in these 3 years, and I think we have some sense of what we like in a bar and restaurant, and so I think that's transferring pretty well to the people we're talking to.
Committee, why don't we discuss where we want to go with this? Chad?
Well, I'm 50-50. I think I like Sue's last proposal, that will give them to December 31st. And in the meantime, if you can write a contract up or something.
Yeah, I don't want to see it back here. You're either open or you're
Yeah.
not. I don't see any reason to.
Make a hard date, and if somebody applies for that, and
So
it's still not open.
Right, and so would you agree to the automatic revocation on December 31? If you don't
Right, well,
have
maybe we could just take a couple of seconds more time.
Well, no.
I mean, no, I'm saying, let's say on November 1, we have drawn the permits and we are 36 hours from opening. And if in that interim, that's quite exaggerated, let's say we're 3 weeks from opening. And in that 3-week interim period, someone presents to the city that they want the identical license. Is the city going to believe in us? I mean, we can have tours, we can present the people that we're involved with, if it comes to that. that December 31st it would be nice.
No,
That'd be
December
another day.
31st is it. It's on December, you're either open by then or not. And if somebody comes to us, then I guess it's going to have to be a common sense call.
I'm
Then I
just-
guess it would have to come back here, you know.
Well,
But
let's
if
just
you're
say on
be open
November
by-
1, if
Yep.
November 1, someone calls Shane and they're interested in opening an Applebee's 2 or whatever. On November 1, we still have the time, it's my understanding, to get it open by December 31st.
No, if somebody comes to us at any time in the next 6 months and asks for it, what you're agreeing to is
Okay,
surrendering.
but it has to be, I guess, a bona fide.
Yes,
Right, they fill out an
absolutely.
Right,
application.
it's not just a soliciting.
Absolutely,
Right.
yes, absolutely.
And
They have-
we'll make
yeah.
sure they have a premises and they're, you know.
And that would take us, so if it came in November 1st, it's gonna take us easily a couple months to determine whether or not that it's a bona fide application.
Right, I mean, obviously, I haven't done a good job impressing you on the work we've done so far, but I would love to leave this hearing today impressing you that we have no intention of standing in someone else's way.
Okay.
If there was an extreme demand for this license, we wouldn't have been asking for the extension at all.
Right. Andrew?
I'm scribbling down a note which I intend to make into a motion.
Go for it. Because I think we're just beating this now.
Okay. Motion to automatically revoke the license from the holder, December 31st, 2013.
Or,
Or if an individual makes a proper application to the city for the license before that date, that the license holder would surrender that license to the applicant,
or to the city and then the
to
city.
the city, yeah, that's correct. I believe that meets with my thought process.
Is that kind of where you were going, Chad? I think that's basically summarizes Sue's.
Right.
And so it gives you the
Unless my
extra time,
verbiage is
but,
incorrect.
right,
The
no,
first thing though is you're actually renewing his license.
right,
Okay,
And then you're also, well, I guess we're extending the time within which to him to get his premises until December 31 also.
okay, so
And
extending the license for individual with
I think.
automatic revocation of license 31st unless applicant steps forward, blah, blah, blah.
Unless the premises is open.
Is there a way to put language in there that would describe that the applicant, I certainly don't expect someone to sabotage us, but if someone applies but then is not approved, you know, there's a little bit of interpretation there, I think.
No, I at this point.
Well,
I
but
think we're just-
they won't be
yeah,
able to be approved if you have the license.
License, right.
I mean, so. we
The
can-
language is in there.
Okay, fine.
So, I mean, and can we make this in the manner of a stipulation that you agree to in lieu of having the hearing and the
Sure.
non-renewal? And then, because otherwise we're kind of, it's more a contractual thing
Right,
versus something that we can do as with your
Okay.
license, so.
Chad, here.
Yeah,
That's-
I'm good.
So that's your motion?
Okay, let me just read it one more time for posterity's
Oh,
sake.
please.
Extending license for individual with automatic revocation of license on December 31st, 2013, unless applicant steps forward and makes application to the city, a different applicant, for the license, or unless the current holder opens before that time. So is my motion.
That's fine. I'll second it. All right. I think we've had enough discussion unless somebody has a burning new issue that they want to. Tim, burning new issue in the back there?
Happy in the corner of
All right, all
recommendation.
those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Great, and I do sincerely hope that you're able to.
Right, well, I think
open by
everyone here
December
is
31st.
fair-minded and open-minded, and hopefully you can appreciate some of the things I tried to describe there.
All right, item 11, final review of the 2013-14 liquor, beer, wine licenses.
Thank you.
You bet, thank you, good luck.
All right.
So what do we have outstanding, the ones that are standing up yet?
Let me double check.
Or are those all taken care of now?
Do I need to come to the Tuesday?
Those ones standing up have, I've got some notes.
like the one you just held.
Yeah, that was a premises extension.
Yeah, they're changing their premise to include, I don't know if you drove by and saw the work going on there at the meet. They're creating like a smoking pad off the side of the building, so people don't go out the front door, but it's surrounded by the shrubs. So they want to include that pad there. And then there might be a letter in the back about, we have 2 people that have delinquent property or personal property. And as we have done in the past, we'll send them a letter stating that your license has been approved contingent to be taken care of these personal property. And
Okay.
I think that was all.
So we're good, and other than, and you're on top of the ones that
Yeah.
need
And we need to hold out approving Freddy's.
Right.
Hoping to meet with them this week.
So I'm willing to make a motion to approve the 2013-14 liquor beer wine licenses with the exception of Freddy's and with the contingency that all requirements are met. Okay?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, none opposed. All right, for the fun and games portion of the show. Item 12 is audit of the bills.
We've been waiting all night for this.
I don't have any concerns.
I actually don't have any this time. I went.
Okay, hang on.
You know, if Andrew wasn't on this committee, this would be really.
I said it's the fun and games portion.
All right, what is Cone Incorporated?
Cone?
Cone. You want the check number?
Sure, CON?
KOM.
KON.
50823.
50823?
Yes.
It's page 26.
That's right one.
Oh, excuse me.
Did you say 5082?
That is correct.
5082. It's a May check?
041813.
50823.
Oh, you got April's?
Oh, okay.
Are we in the wrong month?
Yeah. Building maintenance for the library.
Okay.
I'm not sure what it is. I got May bills down
Okay.
here.
Is that what that
Oh, and May's are, yep, May's are in our mailbox.
I didn't know.
Well, I looked previous month and saw what month it was, March, and last meeting, so I thought, oh, we need April.
So I read
So I requested April.
Well, we could do April and May then if you want.
That's why I have April bills down here, but I didn't get to that column.
Oh,
It's library maintenance.
I had a bunch of other ones in there too. I'll hold off on those. What is Apparel 2000? 50940.
Probably April first.
Police department?
Okay.
I'm guessing it's
Uniforming or something.
emblems,
Emblems.
shoulder emblems, patches basically.
Okay. What about 51004?
51004.
That's a good one. I don't know what it is. It's just worth a lot.
Why don't you ask the important ones like the mayor's reimbursement?
You do pick out the-
$25.
Oh, where you got
Image
that?
trend?
Image Trend's the stuff that we just approved that.
Yeah, it's our annual
Right.
for our ambulance billing
Oh,
software.
okay, okay. Which one did you want to ask about?
noticed when I put mine away, I didn't.
Oh, no, we're just getting started.
Lee was pretty good at finding them.
Yeah, Lee could always find a good one in here. I aspire to be like Lee on these things. You're snickering. Well, aside from, I don't know, I got nothing now. Took all the wind out of my sails we didn't have last month or the month before. Motion to approve, pay the bills.
A motion and a second to pay the bills.
Actually, this really just approving.
Approve the bills, they've already been.
I'm approving that you paid the bills.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. 13 is review the referral list. Do we have anything? All right. Item 14, I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a second? Oh, you seconded it? Okay, so moved. All right. Favor, aye.
Aye.
Adjourned at 6:13 PM.